Punch him in the dick, Gary.
Right at that moment after the laugh, the character transforms.
And for an actor to do that is a lot harder than it reads, so he wanted to make sure that it was in line with what I was thinking, so we worked on that laugh for a while.
It's not a normal laugh. It messes with you a little. That's what makes it so good. But is there a clear explanation of how he achieved it?
I really don't know. It's hard to explain that. You know, then you just try it and you make a lot of mistakes.
There are several elements surrounding this character that make him truly magnetic. And today we'll uncover each one, from his iconic dances to his pathological laugh. And you'll be so amazed by each one that you'll be left like this.
Something else. The other guys, they don't feel comfortable.
Let's start with the dances, which became incredibly popular. But did he have to train to pull them off? Or is he just a natural dancer?
So I have to say that I worked with this choreographer named Michael Arnold for a couple sequences, and he'd introduced me to a lot of idea about movement and dance in particular.
But was there something or someone else that inspired these dances?
One clip that he showed me, which was Roy Bolger, and it's a song called The Old Soft Shoe. And for some reason, it encapsulated for me, like Joker trying to kind of come out, trying to emerge.
And filming that scene in slow motion was a brilliant choice.
Towards the end, dancing on the stairs, we see it in 24 frames a second, which is what film normally is. And his movements, his dance movements, seem choppy and uncoordinated. And then Todd then shot it in slow motion, and he appears graceful. And I thought it was like a great way of kind of showing the subjective reality and the objective reality.
And that's how a scene that went down in history was born. But for the director, Todd Phillips, there's one scene that marks a pivotal moment in the film.
And I think it's a really great moment in the movie, and it's a really much more effective way of illustrating the beginning of a transformation with grace that kind of comes out of nowhere.
That poetic bathroom dance is a turning point because it's when the Joker emerges. There's also another Joker dance, when he arrives at Murray's show and makes his entrance. But you won't believe how many takes it took to get the right one.
So please welcome Joker.
In the end, I think we can all agree they chose the right one. What did you think, Murray?
Well, that was quite an entrance.
This Joker is a version that tackles complex themes like schizophrenia, loneliness, and society's disdain.
It's a tough time in Gotham. I think people feel very disconnected and they distrust each other. And I think Arthur is somewhat a product of that.
I said, for my whole life, I didn't know if I even really existed. But I do. And people are starting to notice.
The one thing that I knew that I believed to be real was he experienced childhood trauma. And I think that more than anything kind of shapes his perception of the world. I realized that he was had the traits of post-traumatic stress disorder.
Negative aspects of society and mental health were meant to be the core of the film.
We set out to make a film that illustrates the sort of lack of empathy in the world. And the idea is that when we treat each other with this kind of discourse and this kind of dismissiveness, you get the villain you deserve. Couple that with mental illness, childhood trauma, a lack of love, and these are kind of the recipe for someone like Arthur in this movie. It's not a...
Even the few good things in the character's life weren't actually good.
Arthur, I think, is a man who has been kind of ostracized and is trying to deal with that and doesn't have really the emotional capacity to know how to. And you know, in trying to find his freedom and his own movement and his own identity, sort of missteps in a way missteps in terms of our social construct of.
And never was it better said? Arthur does take missteps.
Zazie, who plays somebody that Arthur knows and has a relationship with, so to speak.
That little laugh at the end is because, as the movie progresses, we discover it wasn't a relationship at all.
Can I call someone? Is your mother home?
Another element that adds depth to the character is the challenge the actor faced with weight loss. Though he'd done it before, this time it had harsher consequences.
It was something that I've done before, and I swore when I did it before that I'd never do it again. But it seemed like it was really important for the character, and I think it ended up affecting me in ways that I hadn't anticipated, and certainly it affects your emotional and mental state. But really, I think the thing that I didn't expect at all was how I felt like I could move my body.
Seeing those scenes of his body is really hard to watch, and you can't look away.
But somehow it kind of gave me a new unexpected feeling, and that became really important for the character.
Before filming began, it's believed Joaquin weighed about 180 pounds, and the goal was to get down to 125. With only a few months before shooting, you'll think it's a lie what the actor ate daily.
It was already like June, and he hadn't started, and we started shooting in September, and he's like 180 pounds, which he wasn't fat, but we're talking about getting to 125 pounds. And he goes, I got it. I go, well, you know, we can hire a guy. I got this thing. This woman who's a nutritionist might want to. No, that's not how I do it. I go, how do you do it? He goes, I just stop eating and I starve myself. And he just ate an apple a day.
Finally, we arrive at the most standout aspect of the character, and likely the film, his pathological laugh.
And that was a challenging thing for Joaquin to find that laugh. Because, you know, you read the script and it says, Arthur starts laughing, you know, it's pain, there's pain in his eyes, he can't stop, and blah, blah, blah. You read that and you go, okay, but to act that is a very, very difficult thing, and it was very intimidating for Joaquin. We talked a lot about the laugh, because you've seen the movie, it comes up a lot, and but it was fun.
Was that laugh pure improvisation, or was it inspired by someone?
Todd showed me videos of people that have this uncontrollable laughing fits. And one in particular who, it looked very painful, his face would get red and he would choke. And so that was the inspiration, and I just tried to copy them. I think I'd always imagined it as being just maniacal and kind of high-pitched.
Yeah.
And I think that the way that Todd had approached it was through this more realistic lens, and kind of felt like it was motivated by something. And so it was finding that.
There's also another crucial element in the film, and it's an actor who's the GOAT.
Well, Todd, I was told about the script. That Todd told me. Well, I was given the script, and then I met Todd, and we talked about it. And I mean, I understood all the connections and so on. And I said, oh, you know, okay.
Simply the GOAT.
That was it.
Robert De Niro not only has a standout role representing what TV hosts were like in the past, but he and Joaquin Phoenix share the climactic scene of the film, which some criticized for handling violence irresponsibly.
When the movie was coming out and people were writing those articles, was people started painting it that it was an irresponsibly handled, the violence. And I can even speak for Joaquin, because we've had these conversations. Joaquin and I felt like it was the opposite. We felt like it's actually a very responsible way if you portray violence in a realistic way and show how disgusting and ugly it can be.
And yes, the scene is when Arthur shoots Murray.
Police, I'll tell you what you get. Call the police. Get what you fucking deserve.
Gotham in this adaptation is also key because it mirrors Arthur's life, and both seem on the verge of collapse. The inspiration came from a city from years past.
Production designer, grew up on the Upper West Side his whole life. He remembers 1981 New York as a very specific time.
The city wasn't just a setting to adapt, it was as important as a character.
When we introduce the city, which is a character in the movie, the city feels on the edge like a powder keg.
The film is raw and sends a message to society with a formidable performance by Joaquin Phoenix, who won the Academy Award for Best Actor for a reason.
I had never really thought about doing a comic book movie. For me, it was more about this idea of doing a character study, but about somebody people have no idea.
Todd has a very unique way of looking at things. And nobody could have made this movie but Todd.
That's all for now. Hey, don't be sad. To make sure you don't miss any videos, subscribe and turn on notifications. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
Good night. And always remember, that's...